Reparations Glossary. What are some key terms, concepts that will be helpful for you as commissioners, the community, and the general public to start understanding about reparations? One of the first words that I wanted to talk about was the word reparations itself, which means to repair, to make amends. And then the second word that I wanted to talk about was ameliorate. I have a friend named Amelia, and when we have events or stuff, she always comes with something like some posters or things that we need, and it always makes our events go better. And so ameliorate or Amelia is to make things go better. So we want to create policies and procedures to make things go better for Black Americans who reside in the city of St. Paul. This is also something that we can work with intern or others to build out this glossary. But are there any other terms that you guys think should be added to this glossary that we want to make for ourselves and for the community in general? Commissioner Blowhorn and then Mr.
You could just say seven. I wanted to make sure I waited till I was called on.
Okay,
Justice.
justice. Do you have a definition for us?
If I were writing it, I'd probably try to get kind of an historical definition, because it's a term that's evolved. But doing justice is actually, in our long history, is a very, very huge function of government. In fact, it's probably one of the first 2 or 3 functions of a government, is to provide justice or to do justice for the people.
Absolutely. Commissioner Mohammed, thank you.
Just looking at, want to know the duration that you're going to have the glossary open. So is there going to be something that's trying to close it and stick to what we have, or are we just looking to add to what we have, or is it going to be malleable or we add to it as we need as we move along?
I think we can add to it as we move along. And I think it helps get some of the, like yourself, Cooley had the benefit of being on the other commission, so it kind of gets us all on the same page. And, some understanding and stuff too.
It's about grounding.
Grounding and understanding with community too.
Okay, so is there going to be a distinction between legal terminology so that we know what the utility is going to be? So we could throw out a phrase and then define the phrase. That doesn't mean that it's going to translate into a legislator or, you know, in this case, the ordinance or even in a court of law. So making sure we got.
We would just want to use words that are in the reparations movement, that the community that can get us all talking the same language as a community, whether it's reparations or even words like ordinance or variance, just different words that we think that we will use as a body so that we can all be on the same page. Yes.
So it's, when you say the reparations movement, is that you speaking about here or are you speaking about national?
I mean, I don't want to confuse us. I would just say that if we would like to build a glossary of words that us as reparationists locally, at the state level and nationally could use so that we're all on the same page. And so that for future commissions, so say like after your term is over, somebody comes behind you, they don't really understand reparations or aren't totally up to speed, they can look at that glossary and study it and get up to speed, kind of like the appendix that we have and things like that. Any more words? But this isn't just for, you know, we can do this like each meeting or even in between time and send those words up to Robie.
I think at some point, I don't have a definition for you today, but I think at some point it'll be important for us to say what we mean by, or what the ordinance means when it uses the phrase American descendants of chattel slavery. To me, should be a accepted definition of that phrase.
Agreed. Any more words?
I think there is, right, I think there is a definition.
I,
Yeah, I just wanted
we,
in the
I think,
glossary.
yeah, we just put them in the law. Okay. And so, our next item is discussion of the bylaw, draft 2. Veronica, will you please review the recommended changes that were made and take us through a process to make any and other further alterations?
Okay. Well, you guys have the draft 2 bylaws in your packet, so please pull that out. We are almost complete with this. And it's an established part of the ordinance to create our own rules and procedures, i.e. the bylaws. So hopefully we can come to a point of finalizing it, if not today, hopefully by the next meeting, at least. So that we can comfortably, kind of start focusing and zoning in on the work plan. But looking at the second draft, what I did was, I tried color coding, the comments that we had at our previous meeting and some of the recommendations from the staff, myself, Bryn, the attorney. It's so if you're seeing anything that may not have been captured, just when we open up for discussion, just bring that up so that, I could make whatever necessary changes that needs to be made. Now, what I want to do is first go through the recommendations, answer any questions, and then we can open up the floor for discussion. And what I want to be cognizant of is, maybe taking each piece, like section by section that the recommendations are around, so that it's pretty easy for our legislative assistant. We have a new one, or we have, she's new, not a new one, but she's new, Janie Vane. And she may have been the one that called you and gave you a reminder call, but she's new to the Reparations Commission. So now it's myself and her, but she's part-time and working, as part of another council operation. But she's here to help do our minutes and, coordinate some other efforts. But she's kind of doing those minutes based on the recording. So it really helps when, we're kind of being in order with the agenda and, kind of being in order with our comments. So I just want to try to move us seamlessly that way to help with that. And I think too, as we do review this, if there isn't anything that folks want to change or debate or discuss deeply, we can just kind of move through those points pretty swiftly if you're okay with that. So let me just start here with the changes. These are kind of generic changes, but as I reworked this and kind of, looked at the tape and, tried to make adjustments based on some concerns where folks were saying, there's repetition or maybe there's confusion in the language. I tried to rework the document a little bit to kind of clear that up. And then to reinforce where our powers come from with the commission. So I cited the chapters in the code, in the administrative code, which is based on the ordinance that the code stems from. Now, looking at Section 3, powers and duties, that is pretty much just laying out, again, what's in the ordinance, the powers that the commission is given. So we did talk about that at the meeting. And additionally, what, I thought would be good to add. I know we had grappled with it a little bit at the meeting and didn't know what kind of language to use or if to use any language. The incorporation of the address of the commission as City Hall and the website in terms of where to find us. So whenever any kind of information changes, we can direct people to the website. So that's very, pretty basic and pretty simple. Article 2, commission membership. I think at times there was some confusion about, where to put certain kinds of language about, I think memberships, I broke out commission membership and officers to try to make some distinguish between what was what. So again,
But
so again, that's kind of isolating out the appointment for the membership of the commission, the qualifications, the commission size, and being clear about, the commission size, the stipends and the terms of office. And then there's the vacancies. And again, all of that is coming out of the ordinance, i.e. the administrative code, which is where everything is cited. Then in Article 3, that's just where I parsed out the commission officers from the membership. So just making that distinction. And if you look at, Section 3, elections, elections of the officers, nominations, terms, removal of office, vacancy of the position.
excuse me, can we just look at the parts that are in red and see if we want to make changes to them? And then if there's nobody that want to make changes, then we'll just approve it and move forward.
Okay, so you want me to just go through the red ones first?
Yeah.
Okay,
Section 3, powers of duty.
okay. So looking at Section 3, powers and duties, is there? You want to ask?
So is there anybody that have any discussion on Section 3, powers and duty?
Just a question, Article 1,
Yes, Article 1,
just for
Section
clarity,
3, powers.
get
and
it on the
duties.
recording.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any questions? Is any discussion? Are we all in agreement with this? Is there a motion to approve Article 1, Section 3, powers and duties for our bylaws?
Motion, man.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that passes.
Okay, so everybody's okay with that change, it's good, right?
If we can go to Section 1 under meeting. Article 2. And that's a regular meeting. Any discussion? Is there a motion to approve Section 1, Article 2, meetings?
Article 4,
Article 4.
Yes.
I knew what you meant.
Motion to approve Article 4.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
And that passed. And that was pretty much everything we had.
And you want to go through the greens? Those are just some alterations. Article 1, Section 4 and 5.
In accordance with chapter 11204 of the Administrative Code, a majority of all qualified commissioners shall constitute a quorum, and all business may be transacted by a majority vote of such quorum unless otherwise provided. Any action taken by membership of 11 commissioners, 6 members or more will constitute a majority, therefore a quorum.
Article 1. Section 4.
Okay, I see it. Address of the commission.
Yep.
The official address of the Reparations Commission is City Hall, 15 West Kellogg Boulevard, Suite 320, St. Paul, Minnesota. Section 5 is website of the commission. The link of the official website of the Reparations Commission is City Council, St. Paul Recovery Act Community Reparations Commission, St. Paul, Minnesota, stpaul.gov. And Article 2 covers commission membership. I think,
The approval, the
Oh.
approval is to first.
okay. So do we have, approval on Article 1, Section 4?
Motion to approve Article 1, Section 4 and 5.
Any discussion? Second. Any discussion?
Yeah, again, kind of for the record, instead of this hyperlink, would we actually publish this with the actual URL?
Did we take note of that?
So you want to change that to the
The
URL?
actual URL, that's my comment.
Like yeah.
Okay. So it's approved with that change.
So is everybody in agreement with that, with the change? Okay, so, all in favor of us continuing with Section 4 and Section 5 of Article 1? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And Article 2, Commission membership. Section 1, appointment. Commissioners shall be appointed by the St. Paul City Council as indicated in Chapter 112.02 of the Administrative Code. Is there any discussion about that? Okay. Section 2, qualifications. All membership shall be residents of the city of St. Paul to the extent possible. Members shall be representative of the city's diversity of neighborhood, races, cultures, ages, abilities, incomes, and sexual orientations. Consistent with the city's diversity and equity goals, preference shall be given to candidates who demonstrate lived experience as it pertains to the work of the commission, are engaged in local community, understand the role of the reparations, addressing the impact of chattel slavery as indicated in Chapter 112.02 of the Administrative Code. In Section 3, commission size.
Is this a question? For my own understanding? This makes it sound like there is no lower or upper age limit, and it's just a question. I'm not meaning to be implying that I think there should be an upper or lower age limit. It's just a question.
I just had a, comment. Seems to me all of this is just the language taken right out of the ordinance, so we're not making any changes to the ordinance, so can we just approve that language as is?
That's what I was talking. Yeah. That's
Okay.
what I wanted to do. Yeah.
Is that a motion?
No,
I would move to approve Article 2 because it's a repetition of the ordinance and we're not authorized to make a change in the ordinance.
Is there so there's a motion on the floor to approve Article 2. Is there a second? Any discussion?
I just need a point of clarification on the criterion that we're looking at when it talks about qualifications. So when I say to the extent possible, members shall be representative of the city's diversity of neighborhoods, races, cultures, ages, abilities, incomes, and sexual orientations consistent with the city's diversity and equity goals. The very nature of this commission is very specific. So through bringing in people who might meet the diversity qualifications, but don't actually have the mission of the commission at heart, how are we gonna make sure that that's safeguarded so that it doesn't just become somewhere where people can come park and say that they're belonging to something that's cool and have no idea why we have to focus on Black people, which down the line, as we begin to discuss some of the other proposals, we're gonna need people who understand why we're here. So it's not just enough to meet some of these diversity points. How are we centering on making sure we have people who have the interest of reparations for ADOS members here at heart when they come to the commission?
I again would second what Arthur said. This is taken directly from the ordinance. And section 1 is that the city council is the one that's responsible for the appointment. I don't think we should get into the weeds of how people get hired and how they don't get, or how they get appointed, how they don't get appointed. Again, the qualifications comes right out of the ordinance that we all created. So that's just my opinion. I think we should stick with what section 2 says.
Nyla?
So does that, so if we stick with what, the ordinance says, and again, through the hiring process, people come in and we realize that they are not, nor do they have experience or lineage to descendants of chattel slavery, we could say, no, we don't want them as part of the commission. Is that? Because it's, I mean, they're casting a broad net by saying the diverse components of this, but we know this commission is specifically for individuals who kind of fall that, not kind of, but fall into that category and moving just as such. So
I think legally, we can't just say that this is for Black people. As much as we could when we created the ordinance, this was the language that we created to get to that as much as possible. But again, that doesn't reside in us, that resides in the city council, and they're responsible for the appointment.
Mr. Muhammad?
Or you
I guess I kind of, yeah, I understand that piece, but at some point, even though that's legally what it is, that ends up being, historically, those end up being the barriers that we bump into that keep, segregation and discrimination entrenched into what we do and how we move. So, by having something set up that looks all wonderful and good, but it kind of, undermines the purpose of.
Mr. McCoy?
I just wanted to make a suggestion because again, I think we're still where we were when we started, that we can't change this language, but I would recommend that this is a conversation for another agenda and maybe a conversation with city council.
Yeah, and also I think that, are we allowed, we should be able to amend the bylaws too.
I was there, so I
And so-
understand how the process works. I was just gonna speak to the point that my question isn't about guaranteeing Black people are on here. I'm saying how to make sure that when we list those variables, that a part of attached to that variable, if you meet those criteria, we're adding a criterion to make sure that they understand what the focus of the group is and what their dedication to that end of the commission's goal for reparations is. Currently, as it reads, you can get somebody who fits all of these, not be Black, sit here and literally not have to do anything. And they can steer it to wherever they want and at the expense of the commission and the goal. That's my concern. Legally, I understand the 14th Amendment. However, the reason why the 14th Amendment was established was to protect us from exactly what I'm raising as a concern right now, which is people derailing our efforts using the legal loophole. And they still would have to come in and figure, if we don't say anything, and I'm not saying we have to figure this out now, but if we're voting and opening up the discussion, my suggestion would be that we make a recommendation to the council to see what they can do with that particular article and see how they might be able to streamline it even more to make sure that we're adding a caveat, not restricting, but adding one that guarantees that the focus of the commission is a part of how we're evaluating people that meet the other criteria.
Okay, and I agree with you, and so that's something that we can approve it now and then come back and amend it when we get guidance from the city council and proper, verbiage, proper language to put in there for that. So we have a motion on the floor. It was seconded. We've had discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And so we're at
Section 3.
section 3. Commissioners and officers. Section 1, the officers of the Reparations Commission shall be chair and vice chair and such others as may be designated as such by official action taken by a majority of the Reparations Commission members. And then, section 1, chair's responsibility and authority. The chair of the Reparations Commission is authorized to 1, establish the agenda of each meeting, maintain order and ensure the norms are being followed in order to ensure fairness and equality at the meeting and serve as parliamentarian. Guide commission members through, go ahead.
I just want to say, it looks like we've got a numbering issue here.
Yeah, okay, I was wondering.
Yeah.
Oh,
Section 3 is commission settings.
okay, what do I need to change?
So in Article 3, Section 1, officers, Article 3
Oh.
should be Section 2, chair's responsibilities, and then you
Gotcha.
renumber.
We didn't finish completing Article 2 in the green. We just stopped at 2. We were on qualifications.
Okay. So section 3, Article 2, section 3, commission size, the commission shall consist of 11 at-large members as indicated in chapter 11202 of the Administrative Code. Section 4, stipends. Each member of the St. Paul Recovery Act Community Reparations Commission shall be offered a stipend for each meeting of the commission. The member shall attend not to exceed the $50 amount set by the City Council in the appointment resolution 23969 adopted June 28, 2023 to defray costs associated with participation in the meeting. See chapter 11206 of the Administrative Code. In section 5, terms of the members first appointed, 3 shall be appointed for 1 year, 4 for a term of 2 years, and 4 for a term of 3 years. Thereafter, the term of each member shall be 3 years. Members shall serve no more than 2 consecutive terms as prescribed under chapter 11202 of the Administrative Code. So there's discussion.
Yeah, I was jumping ahead. Now, we had just moved to approve this Article 2, correct?
Not yet.
No.
Not yet.
He's just reading through them.
Okay, and then where it says Section 7, that should be Section 6, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh.
Sorry, I was jumping
you.
ahead.
It's over, it's over.
So read section 6.
Vacancies.
It's in section 5.
Vacancies.
It's section 7. Okay.
It's supposed to be 6. That's what
Okay,
he
so
said.
for whatever cause vacancies, for whatever cause commission seats shall be filled by the city council through the open appointment process for the unexpired term as allowed in chapter 11202 of the Administrative Code. So with Article 2, commission membership, is there any discussion or?
I just have one, I think it should be a tad bit more clear. I don't know if this particular, I know we said in the ordinance what stipends was gonna be. But the way it states, it's like not to exceed $50, as if $50 is the amount. I think it needs to be clear as to what that $50, the $50 meeting. Is it $50 an hour?
It's a meeting. Isn't it in there?
Yeah, it has to be
$50
meeting.
cap.
It's for each meeting, stipend for each meeting.
It's 50, okay.
But it says not to exceed.
So you can get less than $50,
Gotcha.
All
but the cap is.
$49.99.
right. Is
I
everybody?
apologize, I apologize. That was snarky and out of order on my part. I apologize.
So is, any more discussion on Article 2, commission membership?
Are you okay with the way it's written? Does that
Yeah,
sit well
yep,
with you?
yep.
I motion to approve that. Go ahead and approve that.
I second. Sorry.
Council,
Thank you, Chair, Bruce. I just have not a question, but just to this point for section 70 for the vacancies. Just when we stepped into this role inheriting the Reparations Commission, this was one of the things that, I guess we, in the future, can, work through in terms of the city council being the one that appoints it, just because, my recommendation, and, obviously, we have to bring this to the council, and then we'll adopt it through the ordinance change. Is that be filled by the staff person, maybe the coordinator, maybe give a recommendation to the council, and the council adopts it that way, because how it's written, it puts us responsible to do the recruitment and do the interviewing, and that entire process, which I believe should be by the body. So if you can reword it, it's like as a joint, be filled by the Reparations Commission, giving recommendations to the council and adopted by the council. It doesn't have to be perfect right now, but at least that's a recommendation you can give to us, to have the ordinance change.
okay,
And give you, be more.
Where'd you get that from?
Okay, say that it kind of,
Article.
Article 6, which has been, it's labeled 7.
The vacancy.
Vacancy.
Vacancies.
Vacant.
okay, so say that,
Yeah.
Up at the top of the.
Yeah, not, so any vacancies, we would want you all to give us recommendations on who to fill versus having us council members themselves. Yeah, so it would be basically like other commissions, you'll just be sending the recommendations of the person you want to fill vacancies, and we'll just hope to adopt it.
okay, so you want us to put some language in there to provide recommendations to council.
Yeah,
Yeah, so move that language around.
yeah.
Just
We can
move
say
it.
for recommendation for the conflict with the.
Yeah, I was thinking the same.
Drop that.
So it could be filled by the commission, the Reparations Commission via the city council.
Are we all in agreement with Article 2? Any more discussion?
Adding the,
With the
we
changes.
say we're in agreement, are we agreeing to send that citation to the city council?
Is everybody in agreement with, the vacancy amendment?
Well, I think we have to make a proposal to make the amendment, get the writing and the language, or what we intend to do with that particular point.
Is there a motion to
Amend.
amend, Article 2, Section 6?
6.
No,
6.
What is it?
Right,
Second.
7, but-
Section 6, to add that, the commissioners will make a recommendation when there's a vacancy.
that-
Yeah, I second.
All right, all in favor?
And
The motion passed, the amendment. passed. And then can we vote on Article 2, commission membership? Is there a motion?
I'd like to motion to approve Article 2.
All in favor?
Aye.
And Article 2, commission membership passed. Okay, we
With the
can move
proposed change.
with proposed, amendment and change. Okay, this is Article 3, commission officers. Section 1, officers of the officers of the Reparations Commission shall be the chair and vice chair
Okay, nothing's changed there. That's
Okay.
still from,
Section 3.
right. So just look at the green.
We'll go down to section 3.
Is it 3 or 4? I think we're having the same.
Oh, is it number problem?
Yeah, that's a numbering problem.
So that's 4.
Sorry, I've been doing this for
Okay.
so long. The numbers.
So
Hold on.
section 4, elections. At its first meeting each year, the commission shall select its chair and vice chair as indicated by chapter 11202 of the administrative code. Election of officers shall be closed ballot. Section 4, nominations. 1 month prior to holding elections, nominations shall be accepted from the floor at the regular commission meeting. Any commissioners can bring forth a nomination as well as a commissioner can nominate him or herself. Section 5, terms. A term of office is 1 year. Officers shall serve no more than 2 terms in the same office and no more than a total of 3 terms as an officer. Section 6, removal, or actually this is section 7, I'm sorry. Removal, officers may be removed from office by 2/3 vote of the membership, providing the matter has been discussed at and noted in the minutes of the preceding meeting. Prior to a concern involving removal, the chair or commission staff will consult with the officer to determine their ability to serve. With a membership of 11 commissioners, 7 members will constitute 2/3 of the membership. And section 8, vacancy. Should an office become vacant, the commission shall elect a successor for the unexpired term of said office. Is there any discussion on that?
Just have a question, so from a calendar standpoint, as we relate to, section 4, formerly section 3. So the election is being held at the first meeting of each year. Is that calendar year or fiscal year or?
I think that's, that was a question we had about, like, when do each commissioner's term start also? So like with this one, we need to figure out when did our term start? Did we start on our first meeting? Or are we gonna say that's at the fiscal year? And I think that's actually gonna be a question for city
Well,
council.
I think your point, it specifies chair and vice chair, section 4. It's not just the meeting, the members at large. I think this is about the chair and vice chair.
Yeah, this is about officers.
Sorry, what'd you say, Veronica? I didn't hear you.
Yeah, this is about officers. This section is section 3, commission officers. At the first meeting each year, the commission shall elect its chair and vice chair. Okay, so what's the question on the,
Is it the calendar year when the term starts, or is it when
Fiscal.
the commission?
okay,
Or would it be a year from the time that we voted in, we voted for?
So that's what I,
Yeah.
that's what I believe.
yeah, well, I think that's up for debate. I mean, there isn't anything that's, you know, set in the ordinance, so yes, I think you can determine that. Because this, I would say this year we did start late. I believe the commission was supposed to begin in the early year, just as the new city council was coming into play. But for whatever reasons, you know, the time span had lapsed and, you know, we didn't have our first meeting until March. So,
And I think, even with, I think we just went over it, but like, it says in the beginning, the terms will be staggered. And then as time goes on, each term is like a 3-year term for all, commissions. So I think,
I just had a question, but finish what you were saying.
so we just, because of the staggered terms, because it's like the beginning or the genesis of the commission, I think that we need to think about what the calendar year looks like, when it starts and then when it ends.
And I just wanted to ask a question about the relationship between section 4, what should be section 5 and section 3, which should be labeled 4. As it's written now, it says section 3, at its first meeting, the commission shall elect a chair and vice chair. But the nominations are supposed to happen a month before the first meeting then. So in order to have nominations, we'd be meeting. And so something needs to change about that language, because we would be conducting a meeting before the first meeting. If we're nominating people a month before the first meeting.
That's a good point.
So that's what I was kind of wondering, if we can, if we're at liberty to set that, so, even though we had a late start, if you will, but it was maybe in our mind that it was supposed to start in January, but if it was supposed to start in March, or even April, then we had the nomination in March, and that's actually what we kind of did, is that we waited, we kind of said, okay, here's the individuals who are interested in the officers' positions, and we will vote. And we did, took us a little bit on that, but still, so there was a knowledge of those that were interested in that chair, vice chair position, so.
So could the language change be, the commission shall elect its chair and vice chair as indicated by the administrative code, after the chair and vice chair serves a year?
That's not the language.
It says at its first meeting each year.
I think, well, as a point of clarity, just to streamline it, it sounds like we should say that amend section 4, which is formerly 3, to say that the election of the chair and the vice chair should happen within 30 days of the first official meeting. That way, we're not putting the pressure immediately on the first meeting. We can have the first meeting at the top of our calendar or our fiscal year, whichever date we decide. After that first meeting, everybody submit who's supposed to be elected. And then that second month, within that 30 days, we have the election. Everybody can ponder whoever's been recommended. We still need the quorum at the first meeting, and we're not breaking the cycle, and we're within 30 days. That's a recommendation.
Yeah. Okay, well, I don't know if what you're recommending still, I mean, the code does say at the first meeting to do that election. So if you're proposing within 30 days.
Your part that I feel like I'm bumping up against.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
And what does that mean? Is it calendar? And if so, if it's calendar, what?
And that's why I propose just saying after the chair and vice chair serves his first term, because we've already started, we voted in March, and so the next year would be March, and the next year it will be March. It'll be a year. We serve a year as co-chair and vice chair, and then 30 days, I guess, give time for a nomination, and then we vote on the next 30 days.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't talk to legal counsel about that, but that's a really good question. How do we manage that given what we found ourselves in initially. So
We've already started, so we're not at the, we're not
you're
at the
not
beginning.
at January,
Now it's gonna be a continuous thing. We've already went through that hoop. So
right?
now we've elected a chair and a vice chair in March, and we just keep that 1-year anniversary.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was hearing something different. I was hearing January.
Well, her initial
And
question.
that's
that was her.
Calendar.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah,
Is it January or is it some other point
You're
in
saying
time?
fiscal.
yeah.
It says
I just
each
don't.
year,
Yeah, I
But
don't know
are
for
we at liberty
sure.
to say when that year starts, and we should, because then it allows for that. And
So
then
we're
it
going
incorporates
fiscal
what Ray said as far
Yeah.
as the 30 days prior to for nominations.
So that would be like in April.
Well, in this case, if we're counting, our first meeting this year was in March. So that means the nominations would take place next February.
Yeah.
so that those officers could be seated at the end of that year.
Yeah. So that's a,
Okay.
amendment that needs to be made.
Do you have the
Yes.
numbers for that?
So what are you saying
Well,
to
I'm-
change?
No, I was trying to get her to.
Yeah, what are you saying
Understand
to
what we're
change
saying.
that to?
Well, let me, yeah,
Yeah, right there.
I may have caused some confusion in terms of how I said this, but the bottom line is, maybe we could leave it alone. Because we don't need to define it at all,
Hmm.
simply because this being a permanent body, the first meeting was March. And as we move forward, the nominations section does work. In other words,
Yep.
we have time to do that before the first meeting of the subsequent year.
Yeah.
So
When we get on the
we
regular
can actually
3-year
leave
cycle.
it
Right.
like it is.
Okay,
And we don't have to define whether the year is fiscal or otherwise. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All we have to do is recognize that our year started March
Right.
hmm,
of this year. So that means that the first meeting, if the officers are serving that 1-year term, the nominations have to take place in
In
February.
February.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
hmm,
And that was more of what I was asking, to have a
Okay.
discussion, just pin it down as far as what that
Yeah.
looks like, what are we
Everybody
talking
gets
about
the
as far as
time
the
in
start of our
twice for
year?
this, we need to move.
Okay.
And then, Mr. Muhammad.
Session, so if somebody comes in and we haven't specified what the year is, how they're gonna, are we just gonna orientate them as they come in?
Let me put it this way.
I'm gonna be a stickler and I'm so sorry
That's
because Trahern said I need to. So we're gonna keep our discussion to 2 comments. So that we can move forward, but I didn't say that before, so go ahead.
We were told that our appointment year starts at the first meeting of this year. And so that means that the year for us began March of this year.
Hmm.
So that's why I say it doesn't need to change.
Any more discussion? So can we,
I will make a motion to approve Article 3, Section 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Second.
okay, so we're not changing any
We're not
of
changing
the
anything.
language.
No.
And we're not defining the year as.
No.
Okay,
We're just changing the numbering.
okay.
all right, all in favor?
Right.
Any, okay, it passed. Article. Article 4. Meetings, section 1, regular meetings, all business of the Reparations Commission shall be.
We did that one,
We did that.
yeah,
So we're
Section
just
3.
Section 3.
meeting notice.
All meetings are open to the public. Notice of meetings shall be published in accordance with proper notice procedures and shall follow open meeting laws. Section 4, quorum in accordance with Chapter 11204 of the Administrative Code, a majority of all qualified commissioners shall constitute a quorum, and all business may be transacted by a majority vote of such quorum, unless otherwise provided. Any action taken by the commission shall be by affirmative vote of a majority of its member. With a membership of 11 commissioners, 6 members or more will constitute a majority, therefore a quorum. Section 5, absence from meetings. Each member shall be responsible for notifying the chair or commission staff if they must be absent from regularly scheduled meetings. The chair shall announce all absences at the beginning of each meeting. The chair may excuse members from meetings. In the event a member is absent from 3 regular meetings during the course of a year, unless excused by the chair of the commission, the chair shall recommend that council request the resignation of such member from Reparations Commission. In the event that the member has or more excused absences in a year, the chair shall also recommend that council request resignation of such member from the Reparations Commission prior to concern involving absenteeism. The chair shall consult with the members to determine their ability to serve. In section 6, manner of voting. Oh, section 7.
Go down to 7. I'm sorry.
Oh,
It's in green.
Oh, as part of its annual work plan, the Reparations Commission shall designate meetings throughout the year to allow for community engagement and public feedback on items specified by the commission. The actual number of meetings and time devoted to community input shall be determined by the commission. The Reparations Commission will take no action on community input at the meeting presented to allow time for research, discussion, and follow-up as needed. Oh, okay, and then going back to section, that's section 5, it says section 6. A roll call of any question before the commission may be taken upon demand of one or more members of the commission. So is there any discussion on that? Is there a motion to approve?
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the motion passes.
There's one. It's not
Okay.
parliamentary authority.
Section 2,
Or their designee.
the chair or their designee shall serve as parliamentarian. Is there any discussion about that?
What article is that?
Section 1,
It's Article 7.
parliamentarian authority. And you'll see under section 2, parliamentarian, it just says, or their designee. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the last article.
I'll second that.
All in favor? The motion passed.
I do have a question to just revisit a bylaw issue. At the last meeting, we were looking at whether to consistently use Robert's Rules of Order or the Democratic Rules of Order. I did present in your packet kind of a comparison between the two. I would say, however, in the conversation with the city attorney, she did say that, you know, upon her looking across a number of other commissions, that generally everyone stuck with Robert's Rules of Order. That it's good to kind of stay within that framework, but still it could be up to the commission if they still choose not to and to utilize Democratic Rules of Order. So I just wanted to present, you know, those options to you that I had found out.
Just a question. You have a Robert's Rules of Order cheat sheet for us?
That should be in your packet from the last meeting.
Okay,
And
let's go.
I just wanted to say to the, and this is kind of to my previous point, as far as some of these ways in which we conduct business, have entrenched in them the barriers, systemic barriers that prevent us from, that have historically kept us from operating as we should, from providing the discussion, consensus, access, authority, any one of those, verbs, if you will, in conducting business. And so we can look at something different, which is nice, but it's still framed after or loosely framed after something that dominant culture deems as being okay
Mm.
and acceptable.
Mm.
And
Here.
dominant culture not necessarily has to move. This is our commission and this is kind of what we're about. Why aren't we kind of operating from that standpoint and trying to come up with something different and be an example of we can conduct business in a manner that doesn't look exactly like massive.
I totally, I understand. And I know, we're just in our time frame is important and how we conduct our meetings needs to be organized because the work we're doing is urgent. And I think, that once we get this part done, that we'll start being able to challenge or address some of the systems, that are harming us and be able to give our own, policies and procedures on how to address that. Commissioner.
Since we are a commission under the city council, how much latitude do we have to sort of change the rules and the normally being used to conduct the meeting? And once, we gotta finalize this, but that has to go to the city clerk, for the city attorney for approval.
What, our bylaws?
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, I can answer that. Again, the ordinance does give us the parameters to create our own rules and procedures. So to Nyla's point, I'm just telling you what the attorney told me is that generally that's what the other commissions utilize Robert's rules. But if the commission decides it doesn't want to do that, it can choose some other approach. But this, finalization of the bylaws does not have to be approved or finalized by the city attorney or, by the city council. It's the finalization of the commission.
But there are some limits on what we can actually change.
If it's something that's in the wheelhouse of the council, that, we can't change as the commission if it is within the wheelhouse of the council. Anything outside of that,
Give me an example.
well, for example, the council selects who the members of the commission are. That's really clear. They appoint. So, you as a commission member couldn't, say to Joe Schmo in the community, you're on the commission. Now, two council members, recommendation, we can recommend, we can advise, but, it's a clear fact that the council does the appointment.
Right,
Commissioner. Yeah.
I just wanted to say, because I'd like to see if we could move away from this conversation, but in this Article 7, it says a 2/3 vote of the commission can change whether we use Robert's rules. So as far as this issue is concerned, Ms. Golden was saying, we have the right to change whether we use Robert's Rules of Order or not.
Mm.
So I think it's fine to leave this here. We haven't had a conversation about what we would want to put in its place, and that's for, to me, another moment, but we're not stuck with Robert's rules as I read the bylaws that we just agreed upon.
Exactly.
And I apologize for not having,
No, it's okay.
like saying, okay, we could use this, or this, and this is what it looks like, and being able to do all that. I haven't gotten that deep into it, but I just know that Roberts has been kind of like a vice in most instances when you're trying to get stuff done for people of color. So.
I totally understand that too. Okay, so yeah, we can definitely revisit that. But can we move forward to the next discussion?
Okay, so are there any changes, any other changes then to Article 7, just Section 2?
This section 2 is
Okay, and
Parliament.
Section 1 stays the same, okay. All right,
And so, our next item is discussion of the 2024 meeting schedule, draft 2. Veronica, will you please present the schedule and describe what's left for us to, decide upon?
okay. At the last meeting, there was discussion of, some other options besides here at the Wellstone Center. I did do some follow-up and, was able to get in contact with someone who could kind of help me work around some rules and get into the Rondo Library. What they do have visible on their schedule is already full. But, we can get on their calendar in advance of, their calendar being public noticed. So it is newly confirmed that we can have meetings in August, September, October, November, and in December, I held 2 options that we would additionally need to decide upon, either the 23rd or the 30th, considering our Wednesday meeting falls on Christmas. So if the commission, wants to and is okay with the next meeting being here and the subsequent meetings being at Rondo, we can move forward. If you still want me to go back to the drawing board, I'm fine with doing that. But that is one decision that would need to be made. The second decision is if you want to meet on the 23rd or the 30th. I think with the survey, I only heard from about 4 or 5 people. Most of those, I think everybody was falling on the 23rd. So that looked like that's kind of the preferred option, but we need to hear from everybody else. So it's really 2 decisions. If you wanna meet the rest of the year at Rondo, and if you're okay meeting Monday, the 23rd of December.
Is there discussion on the meeting location being at Rondo after July? Ms.
I'm gonna swing for the stars as far as what we're doing and what we're about. So the recommendation or the idea came up to have meetings in the different wards. So that made it possible for, again, individuals of City of St. Paul to attend and to be in their neighborhood. And so, while it's gonna be more work, I would like to look at, trying to do that. And so, nothing against Rondo, because, again, it's cool. But to see if there are locations in the different wards where we could meet and make announcements to them.
Okay, and Commissioner Pringle?
I would prefer to keep, it was what Veronica worked so hard to confirm, because there was also discussion that we should do it in the Rondo neighborhood, since that is the basis of why this commission is even being made up in the first place. So to be in that space, I think it would be powerful to hold our meetings there. This meeting is public, I believe. Are we live streamed?
The recordings
Or
are just
they're
recorded.
published, so,
And then
I mean, it's not like folks won't have access to our meetings. I just feel that we should be in Rondo.
Any more
Question about the Rondo Library?
Say that again, Nick?
Are you
As
okay
a
with the
meeting
meeting
plan.
schedule?
I do have the meetings, I do have those dates in August to out December, at Rondo. The only thing that wasn't available was this meeting, last meeting in July.
Also, and I hear what both you guys are saying, and I know it's good to have a regular meeting place, but then we said, we're gonna have, when we get to it, we will have to have listening sessions too. So I think we want to have the listening sessions throughout the different wards where people in different wards can come in and chime in at those listening sessions. Mr. Commissioner Muhammad, then Commissioner English.
And I think that's a great point. And we also have to keep in mind, ultimately, we're going to be making recommendations to the city council and the mayor. And I think to Commissioner Golden's point, if we are already in some of these other areas where they have access to what's going on and we're touchable after a meeting and they can come and sit in, it'll help us when it's time for them to vote on some of the recommendations that we have versus, I don't know, the disposition of us saying, everybody come to us is off-putting sometimes. Sometimes people just don't want to come out of their comfort zone. Since we have the latitude, maybe going forward after this year of December, since there's already been great work put in by Veronica to secure these locations going forward. We make sure that we're parking one of these meetings, at least one in one of the 7 wards, and that's only 7 out of the calendar or out of our fiscal year. So the rest of them, we could be pretty static, and that way we can kind of set some type of, pattern where we can know that we have a set location for 6 of the meetings, and then another 6 will be in one of the other wards. That way we don't have to do a lot of meetings in order to have them chime in on what they could have just observed if we were already in their district, which we could do.
Yeah.
Commissioner.
Commissioner English.
I think everybody's points are well taken. And I think we all understand that, we're meeting your 4th Wednesday at 6 o'clock. At this point, really, I think we need to approve what we have and amend as we move along. Because again, we don't want to get stuck on, for example, the commission schedule. I think we're all kind of in agreement on when it is, where, she's got a good, location set. Again, we're talking about doing the listening sessions. Again, exactly what Nick is saying, we should build further on it, but I think we should approve this now and move forward.
Any more discussion? Just to kind of summarize what we just heard, NIRA wants to make sure that people have access to the commission and the meetings. Accessibility is very important, but so is routine is also important. So Veronica was able to secure a place, but like Nick said, and what Mr. English said, that we can, in 2025, we can reschedule where we will be meeting at. We can also utilize the listening sessions to get community input and make sure everybody's community members' voices are being heard. So,
I'd like to make a motion to keep the schedule as is, or the location as is.
is there a second? So, but can we clarify just real quick where that is going to be?
I would like to make a motion to keep the schedule or the location that Veronica has put together in this draft 2.
Okay,
Second.
there's a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
The motion passes. And so this is,
We need the date for December.
and our December meeting falls on Christmas. So we wanted to have a date for that everybody agrees with, that we can that will work well for everybody. Veronica sent out a survey, and I think the most answer everybody settled on was the 23rd. So is there a motion to accept our meeting in December being held on December 23rd, 2024?
I would like to make a motion to accept our December meeting on 12/23.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Our next discussion of business is discussion of the 2024 work plan. I've initiated. I'm glad, there we go. Okay, I've initiated some topics I think the plan should include. And the first one, I think that is and this is just for me, what I think is priority for any reparations commission to be effective, it will need to be adequately funded as suggested in the St. Paul Recovery Act Legislative Advisory Committee companion report. And just a quote from the companion report, the Legislative Advisory Committee notes that the work on budgeting for the staffing and commission should be initiated soon, ideally as part of the city's 2023 budget process, and happen in conjunction with the mayor and council consideration of proposed ordinance language. So right now, the city of St. Paul's 2025 budget process is underway, so this is urgent. And to me, it's the most urgent item. Number two is creating the Reparatory Justice Fund. The first thing that Evanston, Illinois did when they set up their reparations commission was set aside $10 million for a reparatory justice program. Then the third, what our ordinance calls for is to have those listening sessions that Nyla was just talking about, to make sure that we're gathering community input from across the city of St. Paul, and especially from the impacted community. Number four will be a harm report. Cities such as Boston, Los Angeles, and states such as California have produced a harm report. This should also be included in our work plan and to help establish a narrative and a starting point for redress. And then the Slavery Disclosure Act, SDROs require companies to contract with the city, county, or state to investigate and disclose any historical links to slavery. If companies, public or private, have ties to slavery or other practices that have harmed Black families and communities in the city of St. Paul, then we would encourage them to contribute to the Reparatory Justice Fund. And then just one more items we've been receiving from the community would be number 6 is creating an archive where community members, and so I believe that Evanston got like $100,000 grant from an organization called Mellon. And that's how they began their archive process. And we can decide on how we want to do it. There will be different ways that it can be going about. I believe the city of St. Paul has something happening, or Mayor Carter has developed a partnership with Holly Q. Brown, and they also have some great artifacts in there from the city of St. Paul residents that you can even go in there yourself and just bring in. And then they have equipment that is really good that can preserve it. So that's one thing that we can think about. And then also I know, Carla might have some suggestions, so I don't want to jump on her suggestion like that. And so yeah, those would be some of the things that I think are important.
You did pass this out to people, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we'd like to hear from everybody else because that's not set in stone, and it's a group effort. So we'll go, Ms. Commissioner Robinson, and then we'll go to Commissioner Blossom.
I just wanted to add to the list, that we at least have discussion about, it was brought up by, Councilmember Johnson when we had our very first meeting, the fact that we fall under the city council instead of the city of St. Paul as a working commission, that may be something that we want to address and get ourselves positioned under the city of St. Paul.
You mean under the mayor's office as opposed to the city council?
Yeah, because when we had that meeting, we talked about the fact that we're the only commission that sits underneath the city council. And that wasn't, I think, what was desired when
No.
when the recommendations were set forth for this commission.
So we can do that? My understanding was that we couldn't move it. And that they basically had a strong.
Yes.
Held there.
No. Can I just add one more? And so what I sing these as, and as we're having this conversation, these would be like subcommittees. And this is where you guys would really take charge of this work plan. And so, but we want to know what you guys want to see. I mean, this is what I'm suggesting. This is what I believe are the nuts and bolts of any successful reparations commission. But we should all, use your expertise too, because that's why we guys were all selected. to see what else you were gonna see in the work plan. Commissioner, E.
Taking a look at these work plan suggestions. I also did get a chance to nibble at, some of the work plan suggestions that were offered by Commissioner McCoy. They were very quality. I think we all should get a chance to read those as well too. I also think that, taking a look at, what the chair has put together and what, Commissioner McCoy has put together, some of the language kind of mirrors each other. I would even suggest, Commissioner McCoy that, considering, some of the language kind of built into, the chairs, you know, in regards to taking a look at, establishing what we call, those subcommittees. I think, Commissioner McCoy, you'll find that some of the language is kind of similar when it comes down to those subcommittees. And like, for example, and I want to go back, I want to go through it because I want to be, for example, when we talk about, you know, a communications work plan that would include listening sessions held in small businesses, for example, the Black religious organizations, Black businesses, and Black nonprofits. I think that wouldn't be the job of the whole commission, the vision of the whole commission to do, but a subcommittee could provide that, you know, those listening session accesses. So your work plan, I think, kind of mirrors, you know, some of the stuff the chair put together. I think we just kind of got to build it together, if you understand what I'm saying.
Can I just follow up to add in? So in the first part of what Mr. McCoy has, it says, in order to serve as an advisory body to the mayor and the city council in all policy and budget matters pertaining to reparations within the city, the commission's work plan should include a budget. So that's the first thing he says. And the first thing, our number one is budget. So we would want to see a committee, whoever has expertise on budgeting, to take that committee and lead that committee, and whoever else is interested in being a part of that committee, we will want that committee to work on creating a budget.
As a point of clarity to Commissioner Robinson's question about being part, including the mayor's office in the city in our jurisdiction, isn't that going to be pertinent to us being an advisory to, because right now we're not an advisory to the mayor's office, to the city, we're only an advisory to the city council. So how do we get to point one is not going to be feasible until we rectify what she brought to the table.
I don't think point one is a budget. Yeah, not point one. We can definitely get a budget.
No, not budget. It says in order to serve as an advisory body,
I know
the mayor and the city council.
That's what he said in his.
Well, that's out of the order.
But that's out of the ordinance. But again, what Ms. Robinson is proposing, we would still want a subcommittee to form and create that language to send to the mayor and the city council to have them vote.
That's what I'm saying. Are we gonna?
Yeah, so I'm just.
Park that or we?
No,
I didn't hear what the resolution was to her.
Oh, no, it's not. We're still brainstorming. We're just taking down ideas and stuff. So she said that we could add that. And then if you guys want to do that, we can create a subcommittee to work on that language and make that happen.
If I could just clarify, this is just brainstorming today. And then perhaps by our next meeting, we can prioritize, what we think, of all the suggestions, should be short-term, mid-term, long-term approaches.
But I think we're at a point where the commissioner's expertise are going to, like, it's time for you guys to take some leadership right now, and let's form some of these committees and and, get it done. But I mean, if we need to wait till the next meeting to establish, so we'll just say, this is gonna be the work plan. Agree on the work plan, and then whoever is going to lead those subcommittees or be on those subcommittees and create the ordinances or the policies that we need to get passed to move forward. Mr. McCoy.
I would agree with that. I just want to say regarding, spending time on trying to have, this commission housed under the mayor's office. I tend to think that we'd be wasting an incredible amount of time. And the only reason why I say that is that there are a certain set of decisions that are going to be, including that one, would be made by the mayor and city council, not by this body. We can make that request, in other words, but we don't get to say, here's where we're going to be housed, right? And so what I think we have in front of us is a moment where we can get to work on the ordinance that's in place.
Right.
Because we have spent, we're on our fourth meeting now, and we don't have a work plan. The other thing I would say is that the city council is supporting us. And so we don't need to move away from that support. What we need to do is to simply ask the city council for some money so we can get started. I don't know that we even need a committee to talk about the fact that we need money. We need a work plan that we can put numbers to, but the city council, we report to the city council. And so we're housed under the city council's operation. And I'm sorry there wasn't a budget in place before this whole thing got started. At a minimum, we needed seed money just to find places to meet. And so to have zero in a budget makes no sense. And what I'm suggesting is, rather than say, oh, we're going to set up a subcommittee to work on a budget, we want to ask the city council for some money to get started. And we want to nail down the set of projects that we want to begin with. But I don't see this as an issue of us needing to convince someone that we need a budget. You don't set up a commission and give them no money to do their work. You just don't. And so one of the questions is, what kind of seed money do we get from the city council to begin the process of developing the agenda?
Mr. Muhammad's next, and then Mr. Khalik, and then I just have some clarifications.
So,
Or everybody else.
from my understanding, it was actually the city council who made the suggestion that we petition to have the city added to our reporting body. One, two, it was the city council that set us up in spite of requesting a budget initially. The city council stripped the budget and put us in this position, which is why we wanted to have access to both, so that we're not put back into that same boat. I'm thinking about, if we're moving ahead, there's going to be several elections. We might have the same mayor, we might have the same city council. Everybody's not going to necessarily want to continue to set up and go through these meetings. All I'm saying is, it was the city council initially who set us up, who had a budget recommendation and removed it. So going forward, the group that will make the recommendation doesn't have to divert energy, but it's saying in order to remedy what led us here, which was the city council, and making sure that we have a check and balance in place. And last time I checked, this is a strong mayor city. So the mayor is not a arbitrary figure. He can thumbs up and thumbs down pretty much whatever he wants, if he wants to. So I would say we probably need that piece on the chessboard as opposed to just ignoring it. That's
great. Great input from both commissioners, Commissioner Khalik.
So how would you suggest that we arrive at an amount that we're requesting? You said just
That's the
add
question.
money. I'm just
Go ahead.
And
trying to
I'm
figure out.
going to give everybody a chance to ahead of me, because I didn't get.
Okay,
but I'd
is
be
there
happy.
anybody else that has a comment or question before Mr. McCoy responds to the question?
I just had it was my understanding that there was a budget in place, and when the city council got it, that it had kind of basically been removed. That's what I remember hearing from Shaniqua.
So this is what, can I say what happened? And this is why I'm saying, to me, I understand what Mr. McCoy's saying, but these subcommittees are important.
Mm.
We wrote a letter to the mayor. We didn't write, there was no ordinance. A letter is different from actually, hey, this is what we need, and we recommend that you pass this. So we can give you a letter, but a letter is just a letter. There was never an ordinance that says this is what we need to happen. And that's just, some of that is, so now that we know, we need to create subcommittees, and then you need to say, this is what we actually need to happen.
Right.
And this is what we need to do, and we need to form it. So the budget committee would say, like, kind of going back to his question, like, we need some money. Well, how much do you need? What do you need it for? Things like that. What's your ask is basically always, when you meet with lawmakers, you gotta have an ask.
And
Oh, just, we have a city council person. And not to put you on spot system, what would you recommend, how would you get this money?
So, okay, I definitely don't, I'm here, as a supporter, I'm also here. I don't actually have a functional role on the commission, just how it was designed. But just the recommendations is, to your point, yes, we all, it's definitely not falling on deaf ears that this commission does not have a budget. That was the very first thing that we raised issue with when establishing it before you even established a vice chair or a chair. My recommendation, is for you to organize and use your power to send a recommendation. I'm, as an organizer, I don't believe we need to create processes out of processes, just like we don't need to create a meeting about a meeting for a meeting. So you literally, however that format is, if that is a form of a letter that, from this commission, that the recommendation is this X amount of dollars. Myself and City Council Member Johnson, we both come from philanthropic backgrounds. Some of our thinking in terms of how to have a long-lasting investment in the Reparations Commission is to, one, set up a planning fund and give some time. I don't want to determine that number, but just to put out there the ballpark we were saying was $250,000 just for, as a committee, to bring in a consultant to help you with the report, to bring forth the structure around recommendation. And, the ballpark that I was thinking, but I've heard from other people, is if you want to set yourself up in a way to pilot $1 million into a fund, and that $250,000 with the consultant to help plan out how you want to allocate $1 million in reparations as a pilot. And that at least sets up the fund. We can talk about the future of, bringing in other philanthropic partners. There's the Black Collective Foundation. There's this Bush Foundation. You have a Bush Fellow on your, on your mission. There's this foundations, there's national foundations, there's national organizations. So really the sky is the limit in terms of how you want to get started. I do, as a council member, we vote every single day, passing money and moving budget. That's not something that we will expect, we expect the ask, but also as a council member, in the respect of the process, I don't want to come in and put my thumb down on a scale. But yes, don't overthink it in terms of what you want to send to us as a recommendation or a budget. But to your point, part of your work plan already includes establishing a fund. So I would suggest just thinking about that timeline. Now, as far as process on the council's level, what that looks like once you send us a recommendation, every single Wednesday, we have our city council meetings. We have a deadline of 1 week to submit a resolution or an ordinance. A resolution probably, or an ordinance would be to change the ordinance to establish a budget back into it. I would also suggest Veronica and the staff to set up a meeting with the Office of Financial Services. So they're the ones not determining if you should have funding or not, but they'll just give you the nuts and bolts of the technical process around what the council would be bringing forth on the agenda to vote on, however we want to call the fund. In our technical, vocabulary, we just call it a special fund. And the last thing, we literally just voted to defederalize $58 million of ARPA dollars.
Wow,
So
we need,
we still have that money. That's by defederalizing it, that means we have wiggle room of how we get to use those dollars.
Mhm.
So, I'm just here just to give information,
Yeah.
around just, you know, how the council finds ways to fund things. So it's not rocket science. It's just however fashion or form you want to send that information, or excuse me, send that recommendation to us will be fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that question.
So after hearing, Councilmember Bowie, that, I'm wondering, since we don't need to overthink it, we don't need to, just need to get a recommendation to them, is it possible to just come up with a number just so that we can start to work for the committee? We could start planning the listening sessions. And then as we figure out the work group, starting to put again another budget and set them another recommendation. So that it's not like we're waiting to do something or waiting to do that. We need money to fund our committee and our work, but we also need money to set up a fund. And we could walk and chew gum at the same time.
I agree.
I was just gonna say, so since you have a week to, submit a resolution or a little bit of change, to whatever you've submitted. I mean, can we come up with something tonight so that we can get it to you and then you have that will follow next Wednesday or what have you? That, and again, it will give us some time to kind of work through and think about what our committees will look like, the funding as relates to that, do some more of our homework if we haven't, for those of you like me that haven't done our homework as far as the financial. That we will be set by the time we come to our next meeting. So
Yeah, and I would suggest sending to the entire council, obviously myself, city council president, Lisa Jalali, and Johnson's kind of, spearheading, we were helping to just at least get out of the chase and get it running. But if that is, so the language would be basically requesting for, one of us to sponsor it, and I suggesting that it should be council president, Mr. Jalali, you know, as the president.
Mhm.
And then after that's, you know, how I'm sure she is going to want a meeting, immediately. But I think, you know, you have buy-in on that. And then to your point, Vice Chair, like we definitely expect for this commission to chew and or walk and chew gum at the same time in terms of, you know, at least putting some gas in the car to be successful.
Commissioner,
This is a wild off the top of my head. So there's several things that I'm asking all at the same time. A, could that funding be directed by us to some program that already exists in our name? The program already exists, it already has administration, it already has office, it already has ways for people to apply for X. Is that possible? And here's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about housing, because housing is short and money for housing is real. And that's just off the top of my head. I have not thought this through. I'm just talking about the difference between having to create a whole new bureaucracy versus moving money from defederalized $58 million worth of funds into the hands of families that might actually be able to do something with it this year yet.
And I would just say, Councilman Bowie, if you don't, I'm gonna ask you not to answer for the moment. If you guys want to have a discussion on that, I would like to make a motion to, have the chair and Veronica and whoever else wants to work on this to, make a recommendation to the city council ASAP for $250,000 so that we can get our committee going.
Second that.
Planning money. No, I just put that on your motions, planning.
mhm. Is there discussion?
Yes. I think it should be at least, $500,000.
Yeah.
I think 250,000 is insufficient, for what we're doing. You know, and the reason I say that is in part because of the, funds available to the city, the size of the city, the size of the project, looking at comparable work around the country. And one of the things that I'm very concerned about, to the extent that you have to get consultants involved in this process, that's where your money's gonna go. And so if you think that you're gonna get good consultants for $250, and that's where all the money's gonna go, to the consultant, you have a problem.
Can I, go ahead.
It's all right, I'll stop there. But I'm just saying the number
So
should, in my mind.
Should be higher. So my motion is not to, for consulting or anything. It's just for, again, we can walk it through. We could make another motion next week for another 250. Right now, I'm asking that we get $250,000 so that we don't scare the chair of the council immediately. We can ask for 250,000 since it was already a discussion. We get them to approve that. We can begin our listening sessions. We can begin the process of looking at our work groups. And then we begin create a budget, and then maybe it's, funded's $1 million, I don't want to get stuck.
Commissioner, English, and then Commissioner Kalik, and then Commissioner Golden. And we got, 15 minutes,
Right, and we.
2 minutes each.
It took them a long time to figure this out when she's exactly right. What we need to do is we need to take a look at these work plan suggestions. Because again, yes, we can build on the budget right now, immediately, but it can still be evaluated, you know what I mean, through a committee. So what we need to do is we need to agree that these suggestions look the way they need to look. We need to move forward with this work plan, and as we're moving forward, we'll be evaluating the budget.
And can I just say something? So as we handed these out, these are cities and their population. Chicago, Illinois passed the allocated $500,000, $500,000. They're a way bigger city than we are. So I think that's something that we might want to put, not saying that we should lowball ourselves, but like she's saying, we can come back and ask for more and get the ball rolling. Then there's a talk of, there's just talks of money. So I think we should go forward with it. And this is just an idea of what is happening. And Councilmember Booth. Yeah. So we can say 5 minutes.
Oh, I do want to say.
And go, yeah.
So I was gonna say, there's something to be said for, kind of the credibility. So if we do ask for, I know we're just going back and forth, the point is to get some money. But I would say $500,000, because then as we look at other places to get dollars and to bring it in, they'll see, oh, wow, okay, so, someone already put down on it, we got $500,000 on it. So they're like, okay, I'm gonna bet on them too, that sort of thing, that kind of mindset, as opposed to, well, they're not giving a whole lot, so maybe they're just a little flash in the pan kind of
Thank
thing.
you.
So I would like to amend my motion and make a motion to, get the ball rolling. Whoever needs to ask the council member to, fund our reparations commission for $500,000.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah.
Okay.
And is that request for planning?
That request is just to get this commission going,
So, yes.
So whatever.
Yes.
whatever that is.
Whatever that is.
So that's specific enough?
I mean, we would have to,
Jim.
Make it in terms of just, so the technical part of it is sponsoring it either is a resolution. I don't think it's not gonna be an ordinance, but you may have to change the ordinance for like, to put that budget back in there.
right,
But the fact that this isn't housed under a department, it'll be going to the city council, so we have to create a special fund. And that special fund would be in the city council and the department. And that's why I'm saying in terms of like, for us, we don't write our technical language, like the Office of Financial Services does.
yeah, so
We
no writing.
connect you, Veronica
Mhm.
is connected with the city staff,
Yeah.
and Brent and Jay. Jay is our chief finance officer with the city council. So he can get the actual verbiage in terms of what we're going to vote on. So that would just be, working on it with staff to get that, and, it's not really staff don't really make it political.
This conversation because we only got.
So that's the technical support is
Yeah.
what that's financial.
10 minutes less than I need.
So
Technical support to get the.
Okay.
Office of Financial Services and the chief officer, the city.
We have-
council.
We have 2 minutes left for this conversation, so I'm gonna redo my motion again. I would like to motion for the chair and Veronica to work with the financial people to create language to propose to the city council a resolution that will give us a budget for $500,000 and possibly create an ordinance that would add a budget back into our the reparations ordinance.
For the information, the prior motion also include anyone else that wanted to work with. Is that still?
Yes, yes. Anybody that
Yes,
wants to work
please,
with the
please.
chair and Veronica
Please.
on,
For next year.
Right.
Because
right.
for this year, to get started now.
Yeah.
So I would like to make a motion for the 2024 calendar year for the chair and Veronica and whoever else on the reparations commissions to create a resolution to propose to city council to give this commission $500,000 to plan and create our work plan, and also create an ordinance to add to the ordinance so that there's a budget for the commission.
And point of clarification. And Veronica sent out a process to get us to that? You mentioned meeting with the financial,
Yeah, so for the meeting with the office, or excuse me, the chief officer for the city council, because the city council has a different person than like the mayor. So since we're housed in city council, all of this is going through our leadership. So that would be the meeting with our office of financial chair.
and so maybe
But that
Veronica,
doesn't actually in the motion, that's just something as a decision making.
Yeah, so-
Yeah.
Yeah, Commissioner, it's gonna be after we vote on this, then that will be decided. If you want to join Veronica in the chair to figure out how that looks, you'll be able to do that.
We have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
I,
The motion passes. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
that's on the agenda.
Okay, so
I do have others. I do have other items on the other.
Thank you.
our last,
The next meeting, this is the next meeting about it.
oh, so are there any items that you guys will want to discuss at our next meeting?
Well, and I think we should continue with the work plan.
Mhm.
And so I think that you've got a chart in here
Mhm,
that you started.
yeah,
and
I'll
you-
plug in both of you guys'
Yeah.
pieces.
Maybe we could start there.
Know what others have
with
said.
that.
And then I was gonna ask if we could actually have, and maybe you already do, I was aware of this, that we have, an option for an agenda, for agenda items. So to contact Veronica if there's something we wanted to add to the agenda. I don't know if that was something that was offered or mentioned before, but as things come up that I may not be thinking about now, or they may not be thinking about now, but
Mhm.
we get like a spark or whatever.
Yeah, and that's kind of what Mr. McCoy's been doing, and just send her a email. Wow,
All right.
is there a motion to adjourn?
I got other,
Go ahead.
sorry.
She's like, wait, I got
I'm
other.
sorry.
Like, oh.
Just, yeah, I just have a few other items. I just want to let you know that I still have some bios missing from a couple of you. So if you have not given me your bio, because we're redoing the website, the reparations website, and I want to include a bio for each commissioner. Those who are part of the advisory commission, if you haven't given me anything updated, I'll just defer, to that piece of information. But anyone else, if you have not sent me a bio, please do so. And then,
Would you just send an email to everybody who's missing one,
Yeah.
yep,
so we know, because I've sent them.
okay, I'll send a reminder on that. And in terms of stipends, speaking of that, I will start processing those now, and we're looking at, let me see. I think it's suggested that I do quarterly, quarterly stipend processes. I'm still trying to figure out how to do that. But, your first one will be the first 4 months, and then afterwards it would be like quarterly. Every 3 months
So
or
we're
so.
basically,
So we started in March, April, May, June. So you have like March to June, and then June, July, August, September, October, November, December. So 3
can I make a
times.
suggestion, just from again, like grant management and finance and all that,
Mhm.
that even though we weren't active in January and February, that first quarter is January through March. And then, so that would be the first quarter, so we'd have some payment from that, and then April through June. So we would actually get 2 quarters of payment, and even though it wouldn't be a full, it would
Right.
be the same amount. That might be easier for you to kind of, so
Okay.
you would be caught up,
Yeah, I'll talk to the,
instead of trying to stagger and go.
I'll talk to the budget guy, but, yeah, I'll figure that out. But I just want to put that on your radar that, you should be getting something, but it takes a while, like 30 days to process. So just to let you know. And then the third thing is, I wanted to know, Nick suggested that when I send out the invites, to send it out through a calendar invite. And I just don't know what that looks like on the other side for those of you. So are you guys getting those calendar?
We
Did you
got
get the
we
calendar?
got one
You
today.
got the second one, the calendar invite, and it went directly into your calendar?
If you accept yes, it will.
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody's cool with that? That works for everybody?
Mhm.
Okay, all right.
I'd like
so
to
I'll
make
start
a
sending them out. like
motion
that.
to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
And this meeting is adjourned. Great work, everybody.
We got that one like, oh, who wants to be a part of this meeting? Let me know before you go so that
The budget, the money talk, the 500,000.
To say, I am donating these 3 books to the commission.
Oh, you betcha.
These are really wonderful, and this is the California Reparations Executive